Far out at sea, a violent storm struck a ship carrying a young family. The massive waves tossed the vessel as if it were no more than a toy, tearing apart the sails and cracking the wooden beams. Amid the chaos, the father fought desperately to save his wife and baby. The family clung to each other as the storm raged, their small boat drifting helplessly into the dark night. By dawn, the ocean calmed. Exhausted but alive, the three washed ashore on an unknown coast. Determined to survive, the father led his wife and child into the trees. With patience and ingenuity, he built a sturdy shelter high above the ground, where they could rest safe from predators. For a time, it seemed they might carve out a new life in this wild land. But fate was cruel. Not far away, a gorilla clan lived peacefully in the dense forest. Kala, a gentle and loving mother, cradled her infant close as they prepared for sleep. Beside her rested Kerchak, the proud and powerful silverback who led the group. Life was simple and safe, filled with the rhythms of family. But that peace was shattered when their curious baby wandered off in the night, chasing a colorful frog through the undergrowth. Before Kala could reach him, a flash of spotted fur struck from the shadows. Sabor, the fearsome leopard, claimed the life of her child in an instant. Grief consumed Kala, and she wandered through the jungle, her heart aching with emptiness. It was then she heard a faint, unfamiliar sound, the cry of a human baby. Following the desperate wails, she discovered a treehouse built high in the branches. Inside lay a terrible scene. The parents of the shipwrecked child, lifeless on the floor, and Sabor's paw prints fresh in the dust. But in a wooden cradle, hidden and still unharmed, the baby boy cried out for comfort. Kayla lifted him gently, realizing at once that he was not her kind. Yet she also knew loss, and she could not leave him to die. Just then, Sabor returned, prowling through the wreckage. With fierce determination, Kala fought back. She swung on ropes, used the lifeboat to block the leopard's attack, and finally escaped into the trees with the baby in her arms. Breathless but triumphant, she cradled him close. In that moment, she decided this child would be her son. When she carried the baby back to the clan, the other gorillas gathered in confusion. They had never seen a creature like him before. Kerchak's eyes narrowed. He told Kala firmly that the child was not one of them, that he could never replace the son they had lost. He ordered her to return the baby to the jungle. But Kala stood her ground, insisting that the boy had no one else. Her refusal angered Kerchak, but in the end, he relented, though he made it clear he would never see the child as his own. That night, under the watch of the stars, Kala whispered the name Tarzan, and promised to love and protect him always. As the years passed, Tarzan grew into a lively and curious boy. He climbed, swung, and explored every corner of the jungle, always eager to prove himself. His closest companion was his playful cousin Turk, who often teased him but cared deeply for him. Another unlikely friend, the nervous elephant Tantor, added to their adventures. Still, Tarzan could never ignore the disapproving gaze of Kerchak. One day, after Tarzan's reckless play nearly endangered the clan, Kerchak scolded him before everyone. His words cut deeply. Tarzan would never be one of them. Humiliated and heartbroken, Tarzan ran into the forest, where he stared at his reflection in a pool of water. He smeared himself with mud, trying to look more like a gorilla. Desperate to belong, Kala found him and gently washed him clean. She told him that, though their bodies looked different, their hearts were the same. "You are my son," she whispered. Tarzan clung to her words, vowing that one day he would prove himself to Kerchak. From that day forward, Tarzan trained harder than ever. He studied the animals around him, copying their movements and mastering their strengths. Slowly, the awkward boy transformed into a powerful young man. His agility astonished even the gorillas, for Tarzan moved through the trees with a grace no one could match. His chance to prove himself came when Sabor returned to threaten the clan. The leopard struck swiftly, injuring Kerchak and throwing the gorillas into panic. Without hesitation, Tarzan leapt into the fray. The battle was fierce, but Tarzan's courage and speed triumphed. He killed Sabor and dragged the body before Kerchak. For the first time, the silverback leader looked at him with something other than scorn. Soon after, a strange sound echoed through the jungle, a gunshot. Intrigued, Tarzan followed it and discovered three strangers: Professor Porter, his daughter Jane, and their hunter guide Clayton. Porter was eager to study gorillas, while Clayton cared only for his rifle and dreams of profit. Jane, however, was enchanted by the jungle's wonders. While sketching, Jane was chased by a troop of baboons, and in her desperate flight, she collided with Tarzan. He rescued her in a daring chase through the trees, carrying her to safety high above the forest floor. Jane, trembling with both fear and awe, realized she was looking into the eyes of a man raised among apes. For the first time, he saw another like himself. In the days that followed, Jane and Tarzan grew close. She taught him about human life, showing him books and drawings, while he revealed the secrets of the jungle. Their bond deepened quickly, each discovering in the other a missing piece. Clayton, impatient, pressured Tarzan to reveal the gorilla's location, but Tarzan resisted. His loyalty to his family outweighed his curiosity about his own kind. At last, the explorer's ship arrived to take them back to England. Jane felt torn between her duty to return home and her growing love for Tarzan. He begged her to stay with him in the jungle, but she asked him to come with her instead. Confused and aching, Tarzan said he could not abandon his world. The two stood together in sorrow, each knowing that whichever choice they made, they would lose something precious. Clayton convinces Tarzan that Jane will stay if he introduces her to the gorillas. Hoping it's true, Tarzan asks Turk and Tantor to distract Kerchak. While they pull him away, Tarzan brings Jane, Porter, and Clayton to the nest. The humans are amazed, but Clayton secretly marks the spot on his map. When Kerchak returns and finds them, he attacks, and Tarzan is forced to hold him back. Ashamed for turning against his leader, Tarzan flees. That night, Kala shows him the ruined treehouse where she first found him, and Tarzan learns the truth about his human parents. She tells him to follow his heart, and he decides to leave with Jane, wearing his father's old suit. He promises Kala she will always be his mother. The next morning, Tarzan boards the ship, only to be betrayed. Clayton and his men have already captured Jane and Porter, and Tarzan himself is locked away. With Tantor and Turk's help, he escapes and races back to defend the gorillas. Clayton and his thugs attack the clan, capturing many gorillas. Tarzan arrives just in time to save them, leading the animals in a massive fight. Kerchak joins the battle, but is fatally shot while protecting Tarzan. With his dying breath, he acknowledges Tarzan as his son and leader. Fueled by grief, Tarzan pursues Clayton into the treetops. He overpowers him but refuses to kill, destroying the hunter's gun instead. Clayton lashes out with a machete, slashing wildly until he becomes entangled in vines. In his fury, he cuts himself free the wrong way and hangs himself. Tarzan returns to Kerchak, who is gravely wounded. For the first time, Kerchak accepts Tarzan fully as one of the family. With his dying breath, he makes Tarzan the new leader of the clan and, most importantly, calls him his son. The next morning, Jane prepares to say goodbye and continue her journey back home. But when Professor Porter sees how much Jane loves Tarzan, he tells her she should stay in the jungle with him. Overjoyed, Jane runs to Tarzan and they kiss for the first time. Porter then tells the ship's captain that he and Jane, quote, got lost in the jungle and decides to stay as well. In the end, Tarzan and Jane live happily ever after together in the jungle, and that concludes the story of Tarzan. Thank you for watching, guys. If you love animation movies, please subscribe to this channel and keep watching. Bye!